From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Afternoon Edition.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Ann Makovic, and we start with breaking news. An investigation in the East Bay after a gunshot was fired on the freeway. This was on southbound 880 in Oakland. Just before 10:30 this morning, the CHP got a call of a person brandishing a firearm. It was near the Broadway exit, who then fired one shot at another vehicle. Well, that vehicle continued on. All lanes were shut down as officers investigated, but they say they didn't find any evidence. They later did find the person who was shot at, who was not hurt. Lanes are back open, but again, the investigation continues. At the El Cerrito BART station has been reopened after a person was hit by a train and killed earlier today. Multiple emergency vehicles seen at the station this morning. BART had stopped service between North Berkeley and Richmond, but now says that limited train service has been restored. AC Transit had been offering rides between those stations. Today, after months of turmoil, voters in San Mateo County are getting their chance to weigh in on the effort to remove embattled Sheriff Christina Corpus. She made history back in 2023 by being sworn in as the county's first Latina sheriff. And her big test of leadership came just a few weeks later after the deadly mass shooting at the mushroom farms in Half Moon Bay. Well, then things started to unravel late last year after she faced accusations of corruption, abuse of power, and the use of racist and homophobic slurs. Sheriff Corpus has denied those allegations and says that she has been politically targeted. Well, today, voters are casting their ballots in a special election on Measure A that would change the county charter, giving supervisors the power to remove the sheriff. Lauren Tom spoke with the deputy who wants to see his boss lose her job.
In San Mateo County, voters will take to the polls to decide on a measure that will ultimately determine the fate of law enforcement leadership in the county. And for deputies like Elliot Storch, it could mark a turning point to restore trust and honor within the department. Something Storch says Sheriff Christina Corpus campaigned on, but didn't deliver on.
It's absolutely affected morale. And one of Sheriff Corpus's greatest accomplishments here at the sheriff's office that she has created a culture of fear and retaliation.
Storch says the fears within the department intensified last November. On the same day, an independent report calling for Corpus's resignation was released. The sheriff arrested Union President Carlos Tapia for alleged time card fraud. Deputies argue the arrest was payback for his criticism of the sheriff.
Having President Tapia get arrested was a red line, and it showed us that Sheriff Corpus would do anything possible to disrespect and mistreat the people who work here, and that she would do anything possible to maintain her power, even at the expense of a good man's life.
The charges against Tapia were dropped, but tensions remain high. The scathing 400-page report accused Corpus of using racist and homophobic slurs, fostering a toxic culture, and placing power in the hands of her chief of staff, Victor Allende. The report found Allende to be unqualified for executive decision-making and found he had a personal relationship with Corpus, creating a conflict of interest. Both Corpus and Allende have denied the allegations. Corpus's lawyer, Brad Gage, echoes what the sheriff has maintained all along, that she's been wrongfully targeted for being the county's first Latina sheriff, and she fired back with a $10 million discrimination lawsuit against county officials.
The election itself is geared only to target her. Measure A has a timeout in 2028. So basically it's never existed before, and it won't exist after her term as the sheriff. And that's very concerning to us because it appears to be improper, discriminatory, and retaliatory.
Critics of Measure A say there are already avenues to remove Corpus from office through a recall election or through a civil grand jury investigation that could lead to a trial. They say Measure A would give unprecedented power to the Board of Supervisors. Caught in the middle, residents and lawmakers in San Mateo County. Some cities, like Millbrae, rely exclusively on the sheriff's office for public safety. Millbrae Mayor Anders Fung says the sooner the focus is put back on frontline services, the better.
Ultimately, we need to make sure that everybody feel comfortable with the sheriff's office leadership, and I think that's what we look forward to.
Voting on what accountability means for every elected official in the county.
So if Measure A passes, Sheriff Corpus would not immediately lose her job. 4 out of 5 supervisors would have to vote to remove her and provide justification. Corpus would then have the opportunity to defend herself in public. Today, polling locations close at 8 p.m. More than 1,500 VTA workers could be going on strike as early as today. So that's a big heads up to commuters. A deadline to reach a contract agreement has passed, but the union has told us there is no strike planned, at least for now. VTA says that they have been working toward an agreement with the union. Nearly 96% of union members, though, voted to authorize a strike. Again, no word yet on when that could happen, but the VTA did put out a message to riders saying that they should have some different travel options ready in case a strike does happen.
Yeah, that would affect me really bad. That's what I use my transportation for, back and forth to work. But again, they got to do what they need to do to make sure they can take care of their families.
If a strike does happen, bus and light rail services will stop, but paratransit services will still be available. Now taking a live look outside, taking a check on today's weather, a chance of some showers between those cloudy skies. Meteorologist Jessica Birch tells us heavier rain is on the way.
It's another cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area as offshore showers are trying to make their way inland, but they start to dissipate a lot as we head into the afternoon and evening hours tonight. Now, we do have heavy amounts of rain in the forecast tomorrow morning developing from offshore that will eventually push its way into the Santa Clara Valley, heading into those early morning commute hours. Now, this will sweep its way across the peninsula all the way up into the East Bay, too. And at the same time, this exact same system will continue to bring in snow to the Sierra, which will be impressive as we head into this weekend's forecast. But watch just offshore. We have unsettled weather in the forecast for us. And what I mean by that is that area of low pressure, you see it continuing to swirl its way down throughout the Bay Area, pushing south as we head into our Thursday afternoon forecast. Now, on the bright side, after that system moves to the south, we are going to clear up and dry up. But in the meantime, from now until then, we'll see on and off showers developing all throughout our communities. In total, we could see about a half an inch down into the South Bay, closer to around a tenth of an inch or at least a quarter all the way up into the North Bay. So as we take a quick look at the next 7 days, we do have this unsettled weather pattern in the forecast today, tomorrow, lasting into our Thursday forecast. The good news is we dry up as we head into this weekend, at least for Friday and Saturday, with more showers rolling in late Sunday night, and that's how we're going to kick off early next week.
President Trump set to give a speech tonight before a joint gathering of Congress. This is his first since taking office for the second time. Natalie Brown reports this comes as new U.S. tariffs are going into effect and as the White House puts all U.S. aid to Ukraine on hold.
25% tariffs are now in effect on the nation's two biggest trading partners, Canada and Mexico, as President Trump gets ready to address a joint session of Congress tonight.
It's going to be very costly for people to take advantage of this country.
The U.S. also increased tariffs on imports from China, bringing them to 20%. Each country has vowed to respond with tariffs of its own.
Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite, but we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake.
Even some Republicans are worried.
Maine's economy is very integrated with Canada. Certain Maine products, such as lobster and blueberries, are often processed in Canada and then come back into the United States.
The president's address here on Capitol Hill also comes as the Trump administration paused military aid to Ukraine following Friday's contentious meeting with President Zelensky.
The president has been very clear he wants the Ukrainians to come to the negotiating table. I think when the Ukrainians come to the negotiating table, everything is on the table.
President Trump's domestic agenda is also expected to be front and center tonight, including efforts to shrink the size of the federal government, with over 25,000 layoffs so far.
Firing federal workers who do cancer research and Alzheimer's research, that does not make us a stronger country or a stronger government.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is among the Democrats who have invited fired federal workers as special guests tonight.
For the president's address tonight, South Bay Congressman Ro Khanna has invited human rights advocate Carlos Eduardo Espina to be his guest. Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren has invited an agricultural scientist and veteran who was recently fired from a research center run by the USDA. You can watch CBS News coverage of the president's address to Congress that starts tonight at 6 here on KPIX. We are following the stock market as those new tariffs go into effect. Taking a live look at the big board, it has been in the red all day right now. The Dow is down about 250 points. U.S. stocks have been in a slump, prompted by signs of weakness in the economy. Coming up, San Francisco rolling out a new plan to prevent homelessness. How Mayor Lurie is using his own nonprofit to help at-risk families. And a South Bay church supporting people who need it the most. How Grace Baptist is making history through years of dedication. Now let's take another live look outside before we head to break. A little gray out there this Tuesday. More on your weather forecast when we come back. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie is rolling out a new plan trying to help at-risk families stay in housing. It is an $11 million investment from Tipping Point, which is the nonprofit that he founded. One of the goals is to bring together service providers and community organizations, making support more accessible through what they're calling a no wrong door approach. If successful, San Francisco plans to expand the model citywide. San Jose's Grace Baptist Church is making history. It was recently designated as an historic landmark, keeping its legacy alive. As Gianna Franco shows us, it's not only a place of worship, but also a place that helps those who need it the most.
And this is where we have our emergency shelter.
Grace Baptist Church sits on the corner of 10th and San Fernando Street in San Jose.
That's the place where Cesar Chavez organized here.
With a long-standing history playing a vital role in civil rights and peace activism. But it's more than that. Nestled beyond the pews and altar of the church is Grace Solutions, a nonprofit founded in 2017 dedicated to supporting the community. Phil Mastrocole is executive director of Grace Solutions.
We have a bank of 6 shower rooms. And each of these are lockable, and they're secure.
They provide meals, shelter, showers, and essential services to the unhoused.
Yeah, this is the kitchen. This is the church kitchen, and this is where we prepare our meals.
Over the years, he's seen the need grow in the area.
Lots of things going on in the city. They're trying to help as much as possible to clean up encampments and make things available for people. So being downtown and near the creeks, we do get a lot of people here very close to us from the Coyote Creek, which is probably 6 blocks from here.
Their work a testament to their dedication to the San Jose community.
We're working always with the city and county to make sure that we're able to give as much as we can based on our capacity and our resources here to help those folks.
Give drink to the thirsty, feed the hungry.
Working in conjunction with volunteers from Grace Baptist Church. Dr. Penelope Hogue came to San Jose years ago when she was just a college sophomore. She spends her time as a worship leader and a volunteer office manager at the church. Along with Jean Wardrop, a moderator of the church, both have personal connections to Grace Baptist.
There's my wedding in 1959. There I am a few years later.
Most recently, Grace Baptist was granted historic landmark status, a decision made by the San Jose City Council protecting the church for any future development.
It now gives us comfort to know that we are guaranteed to have a permanent home for our services,
allowing Grace Baptist Church to continue playing a dual role as a historic landmark and a hub of compassion.
It's another cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area, with daytime highs topping off in the upper 50s and lower 60s throughout this afternoon. It's a cloudy day widespread throughout the Bay Area. There's offshore showers that start to break apart as they move their way inland. We can see some misty conditions and some breezy conditions along the coast today, with daytime highs topping off in the upper 50s from San Francisco down into Half Moon Bay, with a return in the 60s from Fremont all the way into the Santa Clara Valley. And gosh, it was only about 5-6 days ago when we were talking about 70s and 80s in the forecast for us down there. So we've been seeing such a change in the forecast recently. And as we continue to watch the system move in from offshore, those offshore showers will stick around for us while we deal with cloudy conditions into the evening hours tonight. Now we wake up tomorrow morning with a different issue. We're going to see showers sweep in from the south this time. Anywhere up to around a half an inch of rain is expected for us down into the Santa Clara Valley as we head into our Wednesday and Thursday forecast. That will continue to move its way north into the early morning hours, just around the commute times, around 7, 8 a.m., making it slick along the peninsula, off into the East Bay and down into the Santa Clara Valley. And then just offshore, you see that swirling system that's continuing to move just along the coastline. That's an area of low pressure that will continue to bring in gusty conditions from offshore. At times, we could even see offshore winds developing with light to moderate rain in the forecast for us into our Thursday afternoon forecast. The good news is once we head into our Friday setup, that system moves to the south and we dry up fast. So from now until then, we could see anywhere up to around a half an inch of rain down in the South Bay, about a 1/10 of an inch all the way up near Santa Rosa. We're going to dry up as we head into Friday and Saturday, but we do get another splash of showers as we head into this weekend's forecast. So timing that out and taking a look at the next couple days, we're going to see misty conditions today, rainy conditions tomorrow into Thursday. By Friday into Saturday, we'll see sunny skies, which is much needed just to wrap up the week. Heading into this weekend, we'll stay in the upper 50s and lower 60s with rainy skies right around the corner along the bay. You make your way over into our inland spots. It looks very similar with a little bit more of a warm up as we head into our Friday forecast, creeping closer to the 70s as we head into this weekend.
Taking a live look toward Ocean Beach. In a surprise ruling, the Supreme Court has just sided with San Francisco in a case over the city's raw sewage. The ruling had to do with the water quality of the Pacific Ocean. San Francisco arguing that the EPA's regulations over what the city dumps into the water were too vague. In a 5-4 decision, the High Court found the city is not responsible for the ultimate water quality of the ocean, and the EPA cannot require expensive infrastructure upgrades. The Sierra Club says this, quote, could stymie the ability of the EPA to implement the Clean Water Act. 2 astronauts who've been stuck at the International Space Station are finally getting ready to return home later this month. What was originally supposed to be a 10-day mission stretched to more than 270 days.
Just the fact that we're living up here in this very unique place gives you an amazing perspective, not only, out the window, obviously, but also just on how to solve problems. I don't want to lose that spark of inspiration and that perspective when I leave, so I'm going to have to bottle it somehow.
But they did not pack for 270 days. Problems with the Boeing Starliner spacecraft prevented their timely return. Now NASA planning to bring them back around March 19th. Coming up, the love of music never dies. We're going to hear from a 90-year-old pianist still taking the stage. Every weekend, this antique store transforms into a concert hall. The main act is 90-year-old Jack Barger. He has been playing the piano most of his life and recently started performing at this market near Dallas. He plays for 2 hours without repeating a song.
People, I do love being around people, and the music I play is older music that was more popular back when. So it's
7 on the free CBS News app. Have a great Tuesday afternoon.